Hello everybody and welcome to my channel again. And today we're going to be looking at something rather unusual, or should I say rather uncommon, at least on this side of the pond. And I'm talking about Digitech F500 tape deck. Why is it so uncommon? First of all, it's French. How often do you see French-made tape machines on the American market? Yes, you see them in Europe. They're not so uncommon in some French countries, French language countries. But in the US, if you talk to 100 people involved in this hobby and ask them about different brands of the machines, maybe one or two will mention Schlumberger. And that's a company that produced this machine. Now, Schlumberger is known for its involvement in oil drilling and energy business. It's a very, very large company. And apparently at some point, they created a division that produced this wonderful machine. And when I say wonderful, I really mean it. I love this machine. It's not a machine without some drawbacks, but it's got such a nice combination of features that it makes it very, very attractive. If you're talking about companies like Ampex or Studer or Telefunken, of course, what comes to your mind, the masculinity of American muscle cars, or great performance of European German cars in general. However, this machine brings back the memory of Citroën C5 with all its European refinements, and it's just gorgeous. To begin with, it's a compact machine. It's not the biggest size machine on the market, like for example, Studer A807 will dwarf it next to it. Granted, this machine doesn't have meters or control panels for recording, levels, and so on, but that's nice. I like them like that. The first time I saw those piano keys, I fell in love with the machine. And it took me about 2 years to find one suitable for importation. Those piano keys are like nothing else among tape machines. Yes, there are some nice ones around. Studer has nice buttons and whatnot, but this one is different. And we'll play with those controls a little bit later. But for now, just a general description. This machine, of course, is a 2-track, 3-speed machines. Its highest speed being, of course, 30 inches per second. And it accommodates real sizes up to about, I would say it's about 11.5 inches. And there are special platters available for this machine as well, which makes it very, very convenient and versatile. When we're talking about the machines sold in Europe, most of them will come with a German tape arrangement, the one you see here, which means the tape is wound or processed with oxide level facing outside, not inside as is more common. What it means, if you're in Europe and those tapes wound that way are common, then you're all set. So the question is now, what do you do if you live in US? And as you can see here, it's not a big deal because you can simply twist the tape in 2 places and it will work flawlessly. It will play and rewind without any issues at all. It is possible, of course, to find the machine with more usual, more standard tape arrangement. They exist. And you can even find them sometimes on the US market. Not very often, but they do appear. So why did I select this particular machine with its strange arrangement over the more common American one? And the answer to this is actually very superficial, you can say. The other machines have only a small roller here, and just doesn't look right. This particular configuration with two large rollers is so much more attractive that I simply had my mind made. On top of that, I tried to make this beautiful machine even more beautiful. One thing, the pinch roller normally has plastic black color cover. So I machined my own aluminum cover, which is, I think, prettier. Also, instead of the standard screws, I put in the thumb screws, and I drilled holes to match the two holes on top of the capstan. Now, the two holes on top of the capstan, that's a nut that holds the sleeve on the capstan. And you would think if you remove this nut, you can remove the sleeve, but not so. The sleeve actually sits with quite a bit of retention. If you remove the head cover, you will immediately see familiar elements, but you also see some drawbacks of this construction. And no machine in the world is free of drawbacks. Here it is a typical head arrangement, but in addition to not being replaceable, removable easily, it also doesn't have the flatter roller before the playback head. Well, I would say it's one of the shortcomings. In terms of its operation, this machine is sheer joy. The controls are so nice, and the operation is incredibly smooth. It's got very nice location function, and let's see how it works. Let's see how it approaches its 0 point. How gently and carefully it approaches it. On some machines, you overshoot the location, but not on this one. Look at that, perfect 0. Of course, you have usual buttons like recording and editing. That is fine. And you also have variable speed rewinds. I'm not so good with this machine yet, but if you dance on those buttons, you can change the speed of your rewind. Let's see again. Return to this location. Overall, it's very, very smooth. It's a joy to use. One small element I would like to mention, the tape lifters on this machine are held in place by a couple of O-rings. And if those O-rings are lost, then in transportation, those tape pusher bars may fall off and jam the mechanism somewhere. That happened on one machine of mine. But anyway, it was fairly easy to find and restore the normal operation, but I find it a little bit upsetting. If we remove the platters, we see more or less normal arrangement. Except instead of usual 2 holes, you have 4, and they are placed differently. But that's a minor quirk. And here you have those massive plastic pegs. It's not very complicated. It's easy to put on and remove the platters. And of course it will accept normal standard Trident reels. When I said French beauty, I didn't mean just outside appearance. It is every bit as beautiful and elegant internally. So let's look inside of this machine. For this you have to remove this or loosen up this screw. And as soon as you do, you will see it opened up. There is a shock absorber keeping it up in this position. And as you can see, it's very well engineered inside. It's very hard to believe that the company that never produced such equipment before did such a credible job. That little board on the right is transformer-less output board. You can have two different boards installed in this machine, one with a transformer and one without. I'm not sure which one is better. It would be very nice to be able to compare the two boards, but I don't think that's possible. I don't know how to find the transformer board. Another nice feature is how easy it is to get to the controls for calibration. They're all there, very clearly marked, easily accessible, and they work very well. Now, tape trading is not complicated on this machine. Remember, you have to twist it here, then you go around, and again you twist it on the exit, and you're all done. And now that you've seen this machine in its basic operation, let's just go with some music.